Yeah, we'll go, lads and lasses. It's all kicking off 3 games after the Premier League season, and we're seeing Deco meeting up with Anthony Gordon's agents in Spain. It looks like Anthony Gordon could be going off to the Nou Camp in the summer, and Lewis Miley, according to reports from Joel Bland, is going to miss the rest of this season if his reports are to be true, which we'll talk about in this video. But we have also signed a deal with a French food giant in Sodexo, who have paid us £10 million and will be paying us £10 million to be the catering company for St James's Park. So a lot going on. And then also Newcastle doing more moves behind the scenes in the hierarchy at the club, of course, as we are signing Scott Mitchell from Oxford United. Their head of recruitment is now officially a Magpie, and he's the man who, of course, found Lancashire and quite a few other players. So this guy's going to be coming in, and he's going to be helping Scott Wilson and Suds and the other recruitment team at St James's Park, and he's going to be helping, of course, stop what we're seeing in the summer with the likes of 55 million being spent on Johan Wissa, who really hasn't hit the ground running. It's not Wissa's fault, of course, but he really hasn't hit the ground running in the Premier League forward. And then also Anthony Elanga as well, another player that, you know, was spent 55 million on, and again hasn't really hit the ground running. He has had spits and spats throughout, but we need to have a more consistent signings coming in, and we need them to be hitting the ground running. We can't be doing what we've done in the summer gone, of course, where we've seen, you know, Wissa come in, he hasn't hit the ground running. Anthony Elanga hasn't really done it neither. But the other players, the likes of Voltmade, you know, been absolutely brilliant. Voltmade at times throughout the season. He was one of the reasons why we're not staring a relegation battle in the face. Because if we hadn't picked up them early points from the goals that Voltmade scored early on in the season, then we would have been staring a relegation battle in the face right now. But thankfully, because of Voltmade, well, we're not doing that. And then other players that were signed this summer who haven't been flops, the likes of Miley, probably pound for pound the best signing in the Premier League this season, I would say, in my opinion. But there's a lot going on, and of course Scott Mitchell is going to be ahead with that, with the others in the recruitment, of course, going into this summer window where there's a whole new plan for Newcastle United going forward. It's going to be looking at younger players. We're going to be looking at a different approach to what we've been looking at in previous windows. We're not going for, you know, the likes of them Johan Wissa type signings or the Kieran Trippier type signings. We're looking at bringing in the young talent. We're looking at bringing in players on the free agents as well. But the players on the free agents that we'll be looking at will be, you know, of that ilk, the young talent that can come into the club, do well for us, hopefully, and then be able to move them on for a profit down the line. And sort of like a Moneyball-esque approach to it, which is great. Looking at what Ross Wilson did when he was at Nottingham Forest, you know, we've already talked about this on the channel, but looking at what he's done in Nottingham Forest when he was there, you know, Ross Wilson did some really good stuff, and one of the reasons why Nottingham Forest, you know, was doing so well last season is because of Ross Wilson's recruitment, bringing in a lot of Brazilian players to Nottingham Forest as well. But Scott Mitchell, obviously no relation to Paul Mitchell, who was the sporting director at Newcastle United. No relation there, of course, but coming in from Oxford United, going to be part of the recruitment team alongside, like I say, Ross Wilson and Suds and the other recruitment team at Newcastle United. And we're going to be seeing a lot more of a direct approach and a better approach to the transfer market going forward. And, you know, let us know what your thoughts are on that down in the comments below. Of course, moving on to the news to talk about Miley. And like I said at the top of the video, of course, Lewis Miley looks like he might be out now for the remainder of the season if the injury is confirmed and is official. Of course, Joel Bland coming out and claiming an exclusive on it, and he's confirming and saying that Apparently Lewis Miley has broken his fibula, which looks like, of course, is going to be a massive doubt for the upcoming running of the season with only 3 games left now. That is not a great thing to see for Lewis Miley. He has had problems with injuries over the past seasons as well, and he has had problems with injuries as well this season. And hopefully, it's not as it is being said, and hopefully, Lewis Miley is actually fit, and if not, then it's going to make it even worse on the squad depth for the team going forwards as well, with the remaining games that we've got left, the 3 games that we've got left against Forest, West Ham and Fulham, and especially considering the fact that we've got every chance of finishing in them European places if we can get the results we need as well. But I mean, he's been a bright spark for winning that midfield when he's been available, so it is a bit of an annoyance to see, if this claim is real by Joe Bland, that, Lewis Miley will be missing the remainder of this season, and probably won't see him until about the first game of pre-season, of course, in the summer as well. But moving on to the Anthony Gordon talk, of course, as I said at the top of the video, Anthony Gordon's agents have been out in Spain. They've been pictured, videoed with Deco, having a summit and talking about, of course, the fact that Barcelona want Anthony Gordon as their man. He is top of their list for their transfer targets in the summer window coming up. And, of course, that is because the likes of Marcus Rashford, who is there, they see Anthony Gordon as a better option over Marcus Rashford. And I'm not so pleased on the price tag that's been thrown around, though. However, by Barcelona, they have got some financial problems themselves, but I'm not so happy on the price tag that's been thrown around. It's 80 million to 90 million euros. That is well below what I would say is acceptable for a player of Anthony Gordon's ilk. And of course, there's Bayern Munich also interested in him as well. They have, of course, a 5-year deal ready for Anthony Gordon to go to the Bundesliga, of course, but Barca want him to replace Rashford's loan move. And I mean, looking at what Anthony Gordon's done this season, he's been the best player forward in the Champions League. He's scored to double figures into the Champions League as well. He's just gotten in assists as well in the Champions League. So do we cash in to balance the books on Anthony Gordon, or do we officially, keep him at the club and try and build around him with the likes of the other players that we've got there as well, and Bruno and that? But we are probably going to have to see maybe 1 or 2 key players move on. According to reports, at least, they're saying that, we could have to see at least 2 players move on to try and keep ourselves in a good area for, of course, the financial side of things, especially with the money that was spent in the summer just gone on Wissa and Elanga, Mali Chow, Voltmade. Then, of course, the money that was spent on the loan for Aaron Ramsdale as well was well about 200 odd million that was spent in the summer just gone. So we might have to see 1 or 2 of our star players moving away. And if that is the case, then, looking at what we've got at our disposal, I wouldn't be too bothered to see Anthony Gordon go, especially if we could get a decent fee for him. But 80 to 90 million euros for me is a bit too low for a player of Anthony Gordon's ilk, especially when you consider that he is in his prime years now as a player. He's an England international, mainstay in the England international scene as well. And after what he's just done this season in the Champions League, that demands a bigger fee for me. But if we do move Anthony Gordon on, then who comes in as his replacement? And that's where you've got to look at the options that are out there. And I think, as my brother said on Twitter, Nufc of RB Leipzig seems to be a really good option. Not going to cost all that much, I don't think, for to bring him in. And he's a versatile player, somebody that, you know, will get quite a bit of use from Eddie Howe, because he loves these versatile players. Somebody that can play left wing and right wing. You know, that's going to be a huge benefit to us in a Premier League season, or just in Europe if we get there. And of course, next season, having a player that can play left and right wing, you know, that's going to open up a lot more options forward, because then you just have to look at the players that we've got in Anthony Elanga. I think we'll give Anthony Elanga another season, proper chance in pre-season as well. I think Johan Wissa as well gets a proper chance at pre-season, in my opinion. And obviously, we've still got the likes of Will O'Sul, who's been banging in goals of late and is getting better every time he plays. So we could say, you know, Us playing in like a rotation role, or Wissa playing in a rotation role alongside Us. And for me, Nusa of RB Leipzig would be a really good player coming in as a replacement for Anthony Gordon going out, and it probably wouldn't cost all that much. I think maybe 30-40 million, if that, for to bring him in from RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga. And then on the other player, I think would be moving on, maybe Sandro Tonali, but here is out on this one, because the only teams that are really being linked to Sandro Tonali right now is the likes of Man United. Maybe Real Madrid could be interested in him, but I am purely speculating here. And then, of course, there is Man City, who is interested as well. But, you know, will they be looking at maybe a Sandro Tonali to them? And would we even want to give somebody like a Sandro Tonali to somebody that is in the Premier League? I don't think we would, to be honest, personally, because that would be, you know, strengthening the teams that we are trying to go up against for European places, and also teams that we're trying to go up against to compete in the Premier League with as well, for go for that Premier League title, because that is the aim of the goal, you know, of PIF, is to eventually one year, you know, Newcastle win the Premier League. I'm not saying it's going to be next season, because I still think we've got, you know, quite a bit of investment to do, but 2 seasons from now, maybe 3 seasons from now, most definitely, in my opinion, we could be seeing Newcastle United lift the Premier League title in 3 seasons from now. But we should at least be challenging for the Premier League title come next season or the season after that, because that is the aim of PIF. That is the goal, you know, to be competing for that Premier League title on a consistent basis. And I don't think at the moment we have quite the depth yet to be able to do that fully, but in time we will get there. And with the likes of Ross Wilson, Suds, you know, Scott Mitchell coming in as well from Oxford United. Now, obviously, he's coming in from Oxford United, but don't let that knock, you know, the reputation of this guy. He is able to find some really, really good players for very cheap, and that is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to look for the players that are going to be world superstars before they've got the world superstar fee, and that is the aim of the game moving forward. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below on everything said in this video. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and subscribe to the channel, and let us know what do you think. Do you think Anthony Gordon will move to Bayern Munich or Barcelona? And do you think, of course, Sandro Tonali will move this end of season in the summer? And also, what's your thoughts on, of course, Newcastle United going forward? How do you think we'll do in the summer window as well? Till next time, hit like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. However, lads.